don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabelle, and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD with my aggressive and angry co-host.
Melissa, hey, how are you?
Wonderful. We've had quite a string of multifamily investors on the show recently, and I'm super excited to have another one today. We got Quentin D'Souza, and he's an real estate investor, author, and has a portfolio of somewhere around $80 million. So I think we're going to be able to learn a couple of things from him.
Maybe
we found him on the side of the road, and he said that he would do it. So we brought him in. Quentin, thanks for coming on our show today.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Looking forward to the conversation and hoping to drop some interesting info and help people to keep going and growing their real estate portfolio.
Awesome. Well, we like it if you could introduce yourself to our audience a little bit. Maybe, you didn't start out with $80 million under management or $80 million in your portfolio, right? So if you could start us off with, how you got from where you were at to where you're going.
Yeah, so I was a public school teacher actually, and I have a master's in ed, and I was doing that before, and 2014 I left teaching altogether, and I just focused on my real estate portfolio, and between 2008 and 2014 I was really just doing single families and small multis, like 1 to 4 unit, and I just took the time to, I did a lot of buy, fix, refinance, rent. I think, it got rebranded like as the BRRRR strategy.
Right. Now it's cool.
Yeah. But people have been doing it since the 70s, right? It's not like, or even earlier. It's just a process, Right. And I was doing that with single families, buy them rough, fix them, and then, refinance out my deposit and then rent it out. And I did that for a while, kept, going to highest and best use of any property. So I would take like a single family home and then add a secondary unit into it. So we'd have a legal duplex, so that we'd bump up the rent and then be able to refinance even more from the property. So that sort of thing. And I eventually started to get into smaller multis. So after I left my job in 2014, I flipped about a dozen houses, and then I started to get into multis to boost up my net worth. Started off with like a 6 unit, and then moved up to a 7, and then 9 and 11, and then 30, and then just kept going from there. I usually work with partners, so I typically don't put a lot of funds into any of my projects. I usually am the active investor or the operator, or however you want to call it. And, my process on the multis now is a 3 to 5 year process. We look to reposition the asset, usually turn over, some of the units that that need to be turned over, fix them up, re-rent them, lower our expenses, do some efficiencies with lighting, water, electricity, all of that sort of stuff. And then refinance the property, repay our investors, and they continue to own the asset, and we continue to do it again and again, just a little bit down the road, refinance and then roll it out and then do it again.
Right. And it's super, you made it sound super easy. Just reposition the asset, do some stuff with the electric and the water and get rid of some bad tenants and everything's fine. But we all know that's a huge, it's not just a simple process. And that's why you have your 3 to 5 year plan to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's simple, but it's not easy. That's the thing, right? And we know that with all of real estate. You know, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So
we say that every day.
Yeah, literally every day. Sometimes a day.
For real.
When you're dealing with like an inspector, you're dealing with like the town, or you're dealing with a tenant, or whatever it is, right? You got to have those mantras. I've got one on my desk here. It's never, ever, ever give up. Right? I'll never let a tenant or a politician or whoever push me down because of, they have some idea of how this is supposed to go. As long as I'm doing things like with the right intentions and all.
Ethically,
yeah. Just got to keep pushing forward, right?
Melissa's really, really good at finding a way to yes. And sometimes I need a little bit of a push to
shove
to keep going in that direction instead of letting those small. At the time they seem like really big roadblocks that stop, but with just a little nudge, in every roadblock can be overcome. And she does a good job at pushing me through those, or throwing me through them, or
that's awesome. You need that. You need a partner. You need somebody to be able to help you. If it's not your partner, then it's got to be a mentor. It's got to be somebody who's ahead of you, to push you along. And that really helps you to, continue to grow, right? Because that's the only way we're going to grow is if we get out of our comfort zone and do things that are different. And I mean, every quarter I have a goal that's usually taking me out of my comfort zone. And every time I do that, it just becomes easier. Like the thing that took me out of the comfort zone really just makes it easier for me. And when I do my goal setting and planning and that sort of thing, it really helps.
Yeah, we totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
We've gotten away from doing that the last month or so, and you wake up and figure out we're not going in the right direction because we've lost track of where we're going, So I totally believe in that part.
Yeah, definitely. We need somebody to steer the boat and paddle the ship. And sometimes you can focus too much on one and not enough on the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you do like weekly plans, or like do you
we
plan
did.
out the week? You did.
We did. Yes, we did. And then we've just gotten caught up in being busy, and that is so important, even more so than being busy. It's right. So we've just talked about it. In fact, we were talking about it today about going back to our Sunday night planning for the week, because I totally agree with you.
If we don't take a specific steps to work on the business because we're always working in the business, we kind of lose track of some of that stuff. And we recently identified that we need to get back on the working on your business as well as in your business.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's great that you're self-identifying that too. That the other thing is, if you have an accountability partner, it doesn't, somebody who can just help you to stay accountable to your weekly goals, right? It doesn't, it may not be each other either, right? It could be a third party for each of you, right? Somebody else. And then that way they can help you to make sure that you stay on track. And it's not necessarily a coaching role. It's really just, these were the things that I set out to do last week and I didn't do them. And, this is why, right? And then you got to go back and you got to get them done this week, right? Because it's really annoying when you keep telling somebody the same thing every week, why you didn't do something. You get annoyed at yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
no, that's true.
Absolutely.
That's definitely true.
That is, yes. Accountability is super important in our business. What does your team look like? Are you operating by yourself? Are you bringing in partners on all these different deals? And what does that look like for you in your business?
Yeah, so locally I have like a staff in-house for our property management here, as we have about 200 units within a 30-minute drive. And then we have another 200 units that are with a satellite office. So this, another property management company that's my other general partner with those units out there that he's running. So it's all basically in-house. We do have a little bit, about 40 units that we have a third-party property manager on, but I'm not sure how long that's going to last because it's like the two areas that we're managing are kind of closing in, and so we'll eventually take up those other units as well, right? Yeah, and so that's on the property management team side, and we've got like the bookkeeper, accountant, all of those pieces, VA, EA, a lot of the day-to-day stuff happens with our team, and in partner wise, it's about all the relationships that I have. Typically, I have more money that's available than I do deals because I'm always working hard to find the right property and the right opportunities and making that happen. And in my particular market where it's very much considered an appreciation market. Like we've gone up 20% in the last year, and like we've done like stupid numbers, right? And even like cap rate compression on the multifamily side, it's been very similar. But the key for me is to still have a cash flow positive asset right from the get-go, and then work on repositioning it and then refinancing it and then holding it and making sure that there's some good cash flow at that time on the refinance as well. So finding the right opportunities and using and leveraging all of the contacts that I have, and I don't think I've bought anything off the MLS in the last few years. It's all been relationships, pocket listings. I mean, I've worked with realtors, but usually it's a pocket listing, which is a pocket listing would be something that, a realtor has and that's offering to people that they know rather than posting it on like a MLS type system, right? So that's typically where those buildings are coming from. With those or any mailings that I do directly to apartment building owners or just relationships. I've got buildings from contractors who are saying that, an owner is telling him that he's going to sell, and, I don't mind giving him a $5,000 for giving him that lead. He's going to remember that forever, and he's going to
keep getting them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. He'll be actively looking for me.
Right. That's very good.
Turn them into a bird dog. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's when you say like, what's your team like? I've got it's all about relationships. Right. It's it's such a big mistake that people think that real estate is about like bricks and mortar. It's not at all. It's all about the people. It's about talking to you. It's about talking to other people, creating relationships, and then who knows where it will lead afterwards, right? Some will take you down an amazing path, and other ones you just want to get off the path, right? So it just depends on the relationship, but most of the time, that's what it's all about, and that team is ever growing.
Right, and you're looking for specific criteria. Do you want to dive into that and like how do you know what's a deal for you? And if you were looking to identify those things or what the things are that are important that you're looking at. Can you help us with that too?
Yeah. So I'm really focused in Southern Ontario in Canada. So my portfolio is there. I have some like a small portfolio in just like 4 or 5 rental properties in Tampa, and I'm involved in some like syndications in the US, but it's not where my it's like $1 million. It's not really significant to what I'm doing. Most of the stuff I am is in Canada. So that's where I'm focused, and that's what I'm doing. And so when I'm looking for like an appropriate like property, it's something that I can see that each of the rents are like $400 or $500 below market rent, and in our landlord tenant board laws are like California. Okay, so it's tough, right? So nobody wants to do what I'm doing. and I've written four books, 2 books on property management. So if someone's going to ask me like, how are you able to do this? Well, I wrote the book on property management for my province, right? And so, that's what I focus on. I use what rules are there, and I work within them to ensure that we turn over problem tenants and then raise rents where we have typical cap rates of between 4 and 5. Okay. And then as you get closer to Toronto, which is, the big smoke, right? You're seeing cap rates between 2 and 3. It's like crazy ridiculous. Like, I don't even know what's going on. It's like somebody's hiding money.
How do you talk people into giving you money for a 1% cap or a 1 cap or a 3 cap? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's really hard, but typically when I'm looking at a property, it's like the 4 to 5 cap, and what I'm doing is I can show by my experience and what I've done over the last 6 years in the multifamily space, and then over the last 13 years in the a smaller 1 to 4 unit space. I'm using the same process I did before, just on bigger properties, right? So I'm demonstrating it, and I can so I'll give you an example. It's better to show you or tell you by example, right? So last year I bought an 11 unit building. Okay. And this was off market, right? I bought it for 1.3 million, which is very inexpensive for the area. Just in a suburb of Toronto, basically. Okay. So it was just by relationship that I was able to do that. Turned over 4 units, did some efficiencies with water, brought down our expenses. I just got it appraised a month ago for 1.9 million. Right. So, but it's all it just comes from knowing and having those relationships and doing, right. Going out there and doing it. And my partner, who was very happy because, he got back his initial investment and and that's a home run. It doesn't happen all the time, right? That's 1 out of 10, right? But it happens. And then, so he gets all his funds back. He's got 100% ROI, still owns 50% of the building, actually more than 100%. So when you ask me, how do I do that? It's I just show you what I'm doing, and you would be, and I can only work with accredited investors too, right? So I can only work with certain people anyways. But, I'm just telling people what I already have done, and I'm using my experience and my background to help them to invest in real estate while I do all the hard work, right? I'm that active partner, and I really just show them by example of what I've already done.
That's very cool.
It is.
But I'm not special, anybody can do it. Real estate is not you don't need a Ph.D. You don't need 3 degrees or anything like that. You don't need any of that. What you need is the right mindset, a determination to do it. And, and I think a lot of goal setting and planning and just kind of doing the actual work of looking at what you have and what skills you have, and then being able to apply them and use them, right? I did a lot of work with a strategic coach, which was Dan Sullivan. I don't know if you've heard of them, but he does a lot. He works with entrepreneurs a lot. I've done coaching with Pro Coach. I'm part of the Entrepreneur Organization, which is a great, it's a global nonprofit that just works with entrepreneurs. And you have to apply to get in. You need to have they have a whole criteria. I think you have to have $1 million US annual income in order to apply, right? So they have these criteria. But what happens is you get into groups with other people who are in the same boat and different businesses, and then all of a sudden you start to get ideas from other people. You get that network, right? That helps you, and then you can meet other people who are in the same business, maybe not in the same forum group as you, like the small group or mastermind group, whatever you want to call it. But then in the entrepreneur organization, you'll be able to find other people who invest in real estate as well, and that's been really cool for me too, to find those peers. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we enjoy it too. I think it's really important to focus on surrounding yourself with people you should be looking to help somebody and looking to learn from somebody at the same time. And surround yourself with those kind of people and put back as much value as you get, right? And if you keep those in mind, you're going to do a lot better. I know for a long time when I was still working my W-2 job that being constantly surrounded by people with that negative attitude or not the investor mindset really limited what I was able to do. And the more that I'm exposed to other investors and the more that we're having conversations like this, the more you see is possible. And when you're around the negative people or the lower level thinkers, you're really limiting your potential.
Yeah, and I think too, like if depending on where you're working and who you're working for and what you're doing, you can get into the wrong mindset really easily.
Yeah.
Like coming out of where I was in my previous life, like to where I am now, like it's total mindset shift, like 360, right? Like it's totally different. But the one thing that I did take from that, and I still do every day, is I love to learn. Like I'm an avid learner of different things, particularly like something that takes me out of my comfort zone, helps me to learn. Like that, definitely having that mindset, the growth mindset, is something that I've taken with me a lot, and that I really apply to whatever I do. I mean, and I think that there was a few things that I did that helped me to move from where I was to where I am now. And it was all like, all related to planning. So what I would do is I would have the different types of income that I was making. And I have actually a little chart that I would do. And I would have my salary, my income that came from my real estate rentals, stuff that I was doing in flips, when I was doing, like a real estate, let's say, coaching or any of that sort of stuff. I would have these different income streams. And what I found, and what happens with a lot of people, is if you wrote that out, you'd probably have one, and when you crossed it out, you would have like you'd be in trouble, right? Because you lose your salary, and then you don't have any other way to survive, right? But if you have a real estate portfolio, you're able to do something different. You could cross off that income source, and it's not going to matter to you, right? And the more that you build that, the more you can cross it off. I used to do coaching, right? So I used to, because I had a $40 million portfolio at the time, and I had like 12 group coaching clients that they would pay like $750 a month, and I had 4 or 5 one-on-one clients that I would charge $1,500 a month. And then what I did was the same thing that I did when I quit my job. I just did this to the income source. At the beginning of January, I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I feel like I have a job again. Like this is silly. I'm wasting all this time doing this, and I don't need to do it, right? And so I crossed that off. And do you know what happened? I doubled my real estate portfolio.
You got to find the highest and best use of your time, just like you do the highest and best use of those properties.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. And it makes a huge difference for what you're able to achieve and the time that you're able to achieve it, right? So it makes a huge difference. And then all the stuff that I used to put in my coaching program, I put into the planning book, the Action Taker real estate planner that I had mentioned to you before.
Right. Where can, just real quick, where can people find that if they're looking for that? And well, I guess really, can you explain it a little bit? And because I know you explained it to me, but Melissa can hear it too, and our audience. I think our listeners could benefit from it as well.
Yeah, you can grab it on Amazon. Like the way that I did it is half the book is about mindset and how to plan for building a real estate portfolio, and the other half is actual planner. So it shows you how to do your 10-year goals and then 3-year goals. And then I don't do annual planning. I think that people who end up doing annual planning, they plan something in January and they come back in December and they look what they said in January and nothing happened, right? So the way that I avoid that is do quarterly planning. Mm-hmm. So I go from my 3-year plan to quarterly plans. And so each 90 days, I have specific goals on finding, funding, or financing real estate. And I have 3 actions that are attached to that. I have one, and I actually have like my quarterly plan on my right beside my desk here, and I have my weekly plan right here, right? And so, you know, those are the things that I do that's really helped me to achieve things faster. And so I put it together into the book. So it's really just, you know, mindset and planning that I used to deliver to my coaching clients. And then I you know, all the modules that I put together in like curriculum that I had made for the coaching, I'm releasing in books over time, right? So I've got this is my fourth book that I've published on Amazon. So I've got a few.
Yeah.
But the plan
and
is,
that also goes into your other stream of income too. And it's a passive.
Yeah, but you're never going to make like $1 million, you know, selling books on Amazon. I got to say, it's more, you know what, I like in every book I dedicate it to my sons. Like I've got a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. And, you know, I think for me, it's a way for me to kind of ensure that there's some sort of guidebook for them to look at in the future. And at least, you know, they may think that, hey, this is the way my dad was kind of thinking at the time. And, you know, hopefully it gives them a little bit more direction than, you know, something like just a will or, you know, something like that. Here's a roadmap to how I was thinking at the time. Right.
Yeah. It explains your legacy to them.
That's very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, you know, you just want to, like, you can make a lot of money and you can get a lot of net worth. And I've, you know, done that. And I think that the thing after that is making an impact on, first of all, it has to be all the people around you that's closest to you, but also making an impact on other people and helping them. Like, you know, and anybody can do this stuff in real estate. It's not like rocket science, right? Like even the multifamilies, like people overcomplicate it. Like I've seen spreadsheets that like blow my mind. I'm like, what are you? Like, no, we're doing the depreciation and we're pulling this number and we're pulling, like, great, good. If that makes you happy, but you don't need that in order to buy an apartment building. It's not necessary. You just need the key numbers. You need to get experience and just find somebody who's already done it before. Like, you know, there's so many meetup groups and things like that, like that you can meet other people that have already done it. And like, as long as they're like a year or two ahead of you, like they don't have to be, you know, like if you came to me and you asked me something simple about like financing or something like that, I would say, go talk to your banker. Like, why are you asking me? Right. But if you had just done it and this was something new to you, you'd be happy to share it with that person. Right. And that's the difference between somebody who's just ahead of you rather than, you know, 20 years ahead of what you've done. Right. And that's the type of person that you want to be with. And I do the same thing, like through that EO group, like I'm part of like a Canada-wide real estate investors, right? And the guys in that group make me look small. Like this one guy, like the last quarter, he bought like 1,000 units. And I was like, you know, like, and it, you know, for me, it's like, I'm asking questions of him. Right. And I'm asking questions of the other people in that group because like, to me, they're just a little bit ahead of me. I know I can get there. I know I can do this. I just need, you know, a little bit like, how did you do this? And how did you do that? And I've got all the, you know, I've got all the ingredients to the recipe. I just need to, you know, in what proportion it needs to be. Right. That's all.
Awesome.
And yeah. So, but anybody can do it, right? We've got access to like great podcasts, right? We've got access to like so much like YouTube videos and all this stuff online. What we're missing is the action, like get out there and do it, you know, like, and like for yourselves, right? Like that accountability piece every week, or getting that weekly plan done, right? Or your quarterly plans done, or figuring out what your key performance indicators are. Like what will make this quarter a success for us, right? Is it an additional $5,000 a month in cash flow? Is it like, you know, adding 100 more units to your, like, what is it, right? And defining what that is and then tracking it, right? Like, and if you don't track, like, you let's say you're trying to lose weight. How are you going to know what weight you've lost unless you measure, right? Like nobody's going to know. So what are your KPIs in your business? Like what are you measuring? And then you have to actually measure it, right? You have to have a way to be able to define that and pull that out of your software, whatever software you end up using, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to remember those things. It's simple and anybody can do it, but if you're not going to take the action, massive action too, not just like you did one thing and you call it good and want to know why you're not successful, but massive action. And tracking your stuff is going to help.
But you know what? I'm closing on 202 units this week, right? And when I first looked at how much I had to raise in order to do that, like my stomach was like, it was not a good thing, right? But you know what? I did it anyways, right? And it was challenging, but I did it. And I raised like over the course of a month, I raised like 9 million, right? Mm-hmm. It was like I didn't even know whether I could do it or not, but I did it. Now I don't recommend that to, like I'm not saying to anybody, please don't go out and just do that. Okay.
Commit first, figure it out later. You'll be fine. 9 million chunk change.
No, but you know what it is I took years of developing the relationships to be able to get to that point to do that, right? Like I've got a lot of people that trust me, right? That have been doing it for a long time. I've got a good reputation of doing what I say I'm going to do. Not just from like the other people that are bringing me deals, but the people that I'm investing with, right? So those are all pieces that I've been building up over time to get me to that point to be able to do that. But I'm just like, I was a public school teacher, so don't tell me that we can all do this in real estate, right? It's just you got to get out there and you got to do it. You got to change I always thought that mindset was like this foo-foo kind of, and it's not. It really does make a huge difference as what you can do and what you believe you can do and what you can't do, right?
I do think that's true. It's definitely something that I've struggled with the whole time is putting beliefs behind that mindset. But if we had a bunch of listeners who wanted to find out more about you, Quentin, where can they go? Where can they find you said Amazon, but where can they go to either make contact with you, find out more about what you got going on?
Will you show that book one more time to the screen? Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Action Takers Real Estate Investing Planner.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the best way is probably to track me down on Instagram at QmanREI or Twitter at the same handle, something like that. I'm not really great at social media, but like I'm okay. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to, or you can email me at Quentin, QUENTIN at getrealwealthy.com. That's the other one that I thought I like that URL. So
yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad you got it.
Thank you so much for taking time for us. We appreciate you and all your insight. Thank you.
No problem.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com. Or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.